Hey guys, welcome to the channel again. I wanted to do a video on inner focus. It was a topic recommended by someone in a WhatsApp group, so I thought I would talk a little bit about that because I was internally focused into my feelings and my thoughts for I would say a solid 10, 12 years. And I didn't even realize it was happening. It was just so automatic in my brain. So before I go on, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, let us know what you think. We also have a WhatsApp channel as well where we share important information. If you want to sign up for that, you can click the link down below in the description. That will take you directly to our WhatsApp chat. You can also ask us about our services, and yeah, you can also get started with us on your recovery journey. So with inner focus, essentially what's happening is that you are, as Rob likes to call it, you are fused with your emotions and your feelings and your thoughts, and you're constantly just like in a loop of analyzing them, dissecting them, just like really tearing apart every single thread in it, right? And even when you're not consciously doing it, you are unconsciously, quite automatically, your brain is still in that process. It's in that loop, it's stuck, and it feels like it cannot, it for the life of it cannot like step away from it, right? And it feels like an unstoppable force, which becomes very frustrating and tiring. You'd be sitting with your friends, and in the background you are internally focused, that loop is there, and not only is your energy being drawn into that social interaction with your friends, but also in the background your energy is also being sapped with that background analysis that is still happening, right? It's a like, if I had to really draw a comparison, again, I'm not a very mechanical technical person, but if you have a computer running in the background, there's also like a processor that's also running, and that's taking up a lot of light, that creates a lot of heat, and the machine gets overexhausted. I don't know where I'm going with this analogy, but you get the picture, right? Something in the background that you're not even fully aware of, but that's really like taking up time and space and energy. And so our nerves are just constantly on edge and exhausted, and we are completely sapped and saturated. Again, I was that person. I think, like, for especially from 2013 till for the next 6 5 6 years, something like that. I was perpetually exhausted, perpetually exhausted. I would take very, very frequent naps. Even if I would get like a 10-minute window to have a nap, I would just do it because I'd be like, I need to recharge even a little bit. It's like your phone is running out. Like, it's not even like running out of battery. It's like 70%, and you're like, okay, let me just get some more. So any little slot of a nap I would get, I would do that. I would compulsively spend a lot of me time by myself because I felt like I needed to recharge that way. There was no other way I knew how to recharge other than to just isolate myself and sit in silence and be by myself. Which, by the way, I mean, often included scrolling through my phone or being on my laptop, which was, I mean, again, compulsive distraction and just like constantly trying to feed some kind of pleasure or something that would give me that hit of like, oh, I'm feeling happy again. Anyway, but this is all like very classic fear, right? And it's important to understand where that inner focus comes from, because when the question comes up that, okay, how do we stop being so internally focused? In the first place, what you have to understand is why you are so internally focused, right? So this is uh, like what I like to refer to as the three C's. But I mean, it's not like a actual formal concept. It's just something I came up with. But like the three C's are like control, comfort, and certainty, right? Those are the three things that are essentially driving all our behaviors, our compulsions, our avoidance, our internal cycle of analysis. Like that, those are, I would say, pretty much like at the center of what is constantly fueling our anxiety cycle, the need for these three C's, right? So, control over what? Control over your feelings and control over your thoughts, right? That's what you want to have, which is why you are the reason that you're analyzing and your brain is automatically like analyzing. It's kind of like a knee-jerk response at the burn that the not the burn the brain. Well, yeah, I mean, after chronic anxiety, the brain does become the burn, but but like it's trying to have control over your thoughts and your feelings, right? You feel like if you can analyze it enough, maybe you can have a good grip over it as well. Or if you find some really key piece of information, it'll help you, like, again, kind of like put it in a control chamber and be like, okay, now I'm the curator of my feelings and my thoughts. Yeah, that's obviously a compulsive thing. Comfort about what? Comfort in the sense of you think that this internal analysis and this internal focus and constantly like just being everything being turned inside is something that'll help you somehow get rid of discomfort, that get rid of anxiety, and you can somehow be able to install a sense of calmness in you. Certainty. What certainty do you want? Certainty about your fears, certainty about who you are as a person, certainty that, oh, this will not last. So if I can, if I can think about my feelings enough, or if I stay in tune with them enough and I, really deeply, deeply feel my feelings, somehow they will go away. And then, like, um, and then this will not be a permanent state somehow, right? So that's what's happening. And in all of that, if you also see like the overarching like purpose of what we think is being, what we think we are achieving through this inner focus is also this constant search for meaning, right? We're constantly trying to find some meaning. What does this thought mean? What does that feeling mean? What does this sensation mean? The search for meaning is like a big one that I think like keeps that inner focus like going like a hamster wheel, and that's why it feels unstoppable, because it's like if I can find the correct meaning behind this, if I can find the correct cause or reason behind this, the correct explanation behind this, everything will be fine. Life will be perfect. I can, then life can carry on as it is, and that like it's something that will feel satisfactory enough as an explanation and meaning is going to unlock that constant cycle of anxiety, right? Again, it's a futile trap. It's an endless trap. You can keep doing that for years and years and years. Nothing will come of it, because one day you'll find, oh, this is the meaning behind this, and then 2 weeks later it's like, yeah, well, that was then. Now it's a different meaning. So the so-called meaning is also going to feel like it's changing, just like OCD morphs. Meaning also morphs that way. So um, really embracing the uncertainty of not knowing what the meaning is, not knowing what the cause or reason behind it is, what it signifies, what the repercussions of that potential meaning are. Complete uncertainty on that is absolutely key, right? Of not having that clarity of what it is. And that's an uncomfortable feeling as well, to not figure things out, to not know what is what. That is a very uncomfortable feeling. It really just there's an agitation that shows up, there's a restlessness that shows up, again, for me as well. I think especially when I started to come off of reassurance, or when I would try to pull back from, be like, okay, I don't need to analyze this, I don't need to do this, like I would be lying in bed and I would like I would be like this, like I would be moving my leg, I would be like, just like moving, my body would be moving, because I was just feeling so restless constantly of like, this does not feel good, this does not feel okay. Again, but that was also the process I had to like go through. But in all of this is also, again, this internal focus in trying to evaluate the external world through the internal, through your internal map, is just perspective based, right? And also, of course, super irrational as well. I mean, it's like if you're sitting somewhere and you're looking at the clouds, right, and they look really pretty, but you're like, yeah, but this is meaningless, because internally, like, this is like completely worthless, this external, because internally I'm not feeling that great. Either or does not have to be true. Both things can be true at the same time. The clouds can be really pretty, and it can look really serene and calm, and you can also not be feeling great. Again, both things can coexist at the same time. That's really important to understand. Again, I mean, if you are viewing and evaluating the words and meaning of everything based off of what's going on internally, you're setting yourself up for a massive trap. Like, it does not it does not pave the way for hope. It does not pave the way for balanced thinking. You're not going to be able to make room for any kind of discomfort, because then what you're going to be doing is, it's going to be like, even if 90% I'm feeling okay but 10% I'm not feeling okay, that has to go, because the external has to fully match the internal on every level for me to get that peace and happiness. Like, what are you doing? Again, it's like saying, because I have a stomach infection internally, my son is ugly. Like, it makes no sense, right? It makes absolutely no sense. I have cancer, therefore my daughter is like the most wretched person on earth. Like, it makes no sense. It makes no sense, because then everything based off of what you're internally feeling, everything external becomes rotten. If you feel like the internal is rotten, then the external is also rotten as well, then, based off of that evaluatory framework that you're functioning with, right? Think about that. So some important points to remember with this. First of all, trying to make room for both realities. Internal reality is, I don't feel great, I'm chronically anxious, I don't have certainty over who I am, I think I'm a horrible human being. And also the reality that externally things are also really good as well. You might be sitting in a beautiful scenery, or you might have a very loving family, or you have very loving friends, or just the fact that even if you don't have that in abundance, you have a roof over your head, you're able to eat every day, keep yourself alive, you have shelter, you have security, and maybe for the time being, that can also be enough of a foundational platform from where you can build forward. So, right. What I'm trying to say is that both things can coexist at the same time. And I always like to say as well, by the way, that don't aim for happiness, aim for contentment. Happiness, if you're trying to just chase happiness, then that automatically also becomes very rejectful of sad, bad things in life, which is not realistic. Contentment is getting comfortable with and embracing the coexistence of both good and bad things at the same time, right? And that's more tuned in with reality, that's more rational, and that's more balanced. And it also creates less internal disturbance, because then we're not chasing one thing uh, in favor, like over in favor of the other, if that makes sense. um, Sometimes I get caught up in my own words, something that recovery has not been able to change at all. Second thing is, yeah, so the inside doesn't become the decider of the outside, and vice versa, right? So the outside as well, let's say you see a building being destroyed in front of you, also does not equate to the inside, or does not have to equate to the inside. The same as you feeling completely destroyed on the inside does not have to be the decider of what is on the outside, right? Again, if you're trying to create that equation of inside equals outside, it's that's a battle that you'll never win. Let's just put it that way. Third thing is, when we become more welcoming of discomfort in our life, and when we start to become more comfortable with its presence in our life, is when, ironically, discomfort and anxiety start to taper down, right? It's a very, like, it seems counterproductive to be like, hey, wait, like, if I welcome discomfort and anxiety in my life, then they'll just stay. They're already there, and if I welcome them in, then they're just going to take over. It works the opposite way, though. So there's that. Number 4, giving up the need to know where, why, how, and what feelings are coming up. What do they mean? Why are they there? How are they coming? What's instigating it? Like, this investigation that you're trying to have, this like complete surveillance of everything, giving up that need. Because what right now, that's conditional life acceptance, that I can only accept my life if I fully completely know where it's coming from, how is it happening, why is it happening, how long will it last, and what exactly is it. If that becomes your evaluator, then again, that's a thesis that you'll be working on for the rest of your life. Yeah, that's a big volume that you're working on. And last thing is that, and this is also very important to understand from just like a biological level as well, that like our body is behaving in ways that we are not even aware of right now. Like me sitting here right now talking to you, I have no idea what's going on internally. I don't know how my body is regulating my temperature, or what hidden functions it's doing, like if it's sending some, I don't know, some fluids to some other part of the body, if it's trying to digest something. I don't know if there's still something in my stomach or not at this point. If I don't know if there's some clogging of blood somewhere in some blood vessels, that if is it trying to clear that, like I have no idea, right? So in the same way, like emotions are something that obviously we feel then quite prominently, but also like when our body is regulating itself and there are all these like different chemicals and fluids and hormones flowing through our body and they're going up and down, they will produce like a wide variety of emotions as well, that we have absolutely no clue about where they're coming from and why they're happening that way, right? So in that same way, when and so understanding that on a biological level helps with also being able to take a little bit of a step back from that fused feeling with our emotions, because it's our body doing whatever the hell it wants to do. You cannot force its emotions, you cannot control its emotions, you cannot like absolutely have a constant grip over why you're feeling the way you're feeling and what you're feeling, right? So being able to see it as also the body balancing out like brain chemicals and whatnot on its own helps with just being like, okay, let's try to write it out, let's see where it takes me, and I don't even have to do anything about it. The need to do something about it is where you are going to do more compulsions and your behaviors are constantly going to be driven towards then wanting to fix things. And that's where the internal focus, again, the inner focus like remains so tight all the time. So when people say that, okay, how do I become more externally focused? Yeah, I mean, it's not something like, oh, I don't know, if I just like tap my fingers like 5 times, I can externally focus. No, like you have to understand the mindset and perspective where it's coming from, because OCD will tune you into your internal so much. Um, and it's the beliefs that are driving that, the beliefs and the perspectives always. So that's all I want to cover today. Think about some of these things. Let me know if this helps you. And because doing this is what helped me also just like kind of like break that fear cycle eventually. So yeah, if you have any questions, pop them down below. If there's anything else you want me to cover, let me know. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.